We are all signaling every time, and money right now is our source of that signal. If you are strong and you don't have money,
are you really strong? Your friends are subconsciously also looking out for opportunities for you.
When people don't know what people around them earn, they don't know what to ask for. Who are the best people to give you that data? Your friend. You start noticing in your 30s, some of your friends might still be thinking at this level.
Yes.
You are already here.
Up.
So how do you keep that friendship and still be transparent?
Why do you think that we have such emotion about sharing how much we earn? Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I am Simone, and
yes, hi, I'm Doyin.
And today we're going to be talking about honesty about money in friendships and how honest we can be about money in our friendships.
Okay.
So before we get into some of the questions I had today, I wanted us to think about two things. On one hand, we're both from Sub-Saharan Africa, from Nigeria and from Cameroon. And in Cameroon, for example, we have something called Jangis. And Jangis are community money pooling groups. And those can be used... Ajo, exactly. Can be used towards different things like healthcare, building businesses, projects, whatever. And in those groups, they're based really on trust and having an honest conversation with your friends, people you know, and being accountable to those people on how you use your money, how you contribute and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now, if we hold that on one hand, and on the other hand, we look at statistics around how people freely talk about money, we notice that people are actually more comfortable about talking about different things except money. They can talk about their religion, their politics, their lifestyle, their career, but they struggle.
Their boyfriends
who they are breaking up with, who they are getting with.
Yeah.
Whose husband is doing what they should not be doing. But they struggle to actually have honest conversations with their friends about how much they earn. And how much is in their bank account. So I want us to kind of dig in this episode on why that is the case. And maybe for our listeners, leave them with a few thoughts, ours, and how we'll approach it moving forward. Okay, so I'll start with the first question. When was the last time that you had an honest, this is how much I earn conversation with a friend? I know you haven't had that conversation with me, so we can already rule that out. When was the last time?
You also haven't told me what I earn. So we're balanced.
Okay. Yeah. So
when was the last time I had an honest
salary conversation with a friend?
I have never. I've never had a, let's talk about money conversation with my friend. Have I mentioned what I earn with my friends? Yes. To my friends, to a couple of friends? Yes. But I've never, and those instances were not deliberate. We were just talking about things, and I purposely volunteered that information. But I've never knowingly gone to them and say, hey, do you know? Or should we talk about money, or should we talk about what I earn? No. Last time, likely in camp, last year.
Who's going to watch this?
Yes. I think Kem was the last time, and then before then, the year before was year one day when I traveled to London. And it wasn't deliberate. I think Kem and I were talking about jobs and what job I was looking for and what jobs she was looking for at that time. And we talked about, pay and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I earn now. So if I get this or that job, I can really earn much more. I'm not earning that much right now.
Yeah.
That was the context.
Okay.
And so I shared with her, and she didn't volunteer hers.
Yes.
So that's one of my things. If I volunteer financial information as a friend, you have to tell me what you in turn. Otherwise, I'll start processing it in my head. Why did she share that information and all of that?
Yeah.
And the other time was when I traveled to London. I met up with my friend Yewi, and we just went for lunch. And I was talking about I'm trying to get this promotion. Once I get this promotion, I will earn more. Or I can use that to get another job at that level. Just things like that. And I shared, this is my level and this is what I earn. And she also did not share what she earns. And I remember very well when I was leaving that brunch place in London and I was going back to the hotel, I was on the bus and I thought a lot about it. Like, why didn't she share?
Okay, let's get down into that feeling. Let's get deep into that feeling. Why do you think that we have such like emotions about sharing how much we earn? Granted, it wasn't necessarily a let's talk about our salary.
But we were in that realm.
Yeah, but we're in that realm.
Yeah.
So like, why do you feel like we have such emotions, such strong emotions about sharing that information? For me, I can tell you that I don't think I've really shared with my friends what I earn. I know for sure I've not shared it with you.
You are hiding the information.
I'm not hiding it.
No problem. We'll get to that.
Don't worry, after this I'll send you a text.
No, not today.
But
send me on a random day.
On a random day, okay. FYI.
Okay.
I know I've not shared that with any of my friends, but I've shared that with my siblings. And the context around which I shared it with my siblings was, okay, maybe I want to take this job. This is what they're proposing. What do you think? Or I want to invest in this thing. This is the context. So I share it with them out of like a context based, not necessarily that every 2 business days I'm sending them, okay, you have moved to this level or not. So,
okay.
I mean, for me, I haven't had those conversations around salary, but I've had conversations around like taxes, around investment, around any house buying, things that if I may say, salary adjacent, but not the actual salary
That's
itself.
why I'm putting it to you that you were hiding the information, but go on.
So, but what I want us to get into now is like, why do we think we have such reticence to get into this is how much I earn?
Yeah, at least for me, there are 2 things. One is just social acceptance or social capital. Like you want to feel among, you want to feel like you belong. At the core, as humans, we care a lot about that. Because tell me why many times even you want to look a certain way. You are signaling on both sides, men and women. We are all signaling every time. And money right now is our source of that signal of where we are in life, right? I mean, generations before, when you were talking about our jaw and all of those things, they had other things.
That's true.
They had strength. At least in my culture, strength was even the source of some people's last names today goes like trace it back. It's something about their great-grandparents and their strength and how they fought and how those things. If you are strong and you don't have money, go and use your strength for something.
Like, why are you really strong?
What's that strength when you are poor?
Yeah.
Right? So our society, like, we don't have all those things like strength, like number of kids.
That like you value to you outside of money.
A few generations ago, if you had more than 6 kids, it was a thing. Like the Lord has blessed you.
Yeah.
Now, if my friend has 6 children, I'm even pitying you.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely pitying you.
Yeah, because you know that the money implications are very serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And even now, if you have more than 3 kids or like 3 kids and up, it's like, this is my friend. I think she's anywhere like Google.
Yeah, they're working with something. Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of, it has changed. Now we don't have strength or number of kids or all those things that signal where we are in society. So all we have is money, our cars, and all those other things that we can...
That are financially...
Yes. And the second thing is just as a society, like, there's a lot more capitalist nations now, right? A lot of the big countries that we all hear about, read about, their system is capitalism, their economies, right? So money is, even at that level, at the economy level, that macro level,
it's such a strong signal.
It's a strong signal. So what else will you show me now to tell me you matter?
Exactly.
It has to be more.
It has to be, yeah. I see that point actually, and I like the way you've broken it across like the macro level and then down to the individual level. I also think that with that, sometimes sharing how much you earn, I feel like it can be a 2-edged sword.
Yep.
So let's say that you shared in a group where people earn more than you. Then, like, to your point, you might feel like, okay, am I signaling enough? Like, how do I, like, how
where
do
do they place me
where
now?
do they place you?
Yeah.
Now, if you share it in a group where people earn less than you,
Significantly less.
significantly less, it's almost somewhat narcissistic, because then are you like oppressing them with how much? So it's like, is there really a place outside of like I can only share it within people who are on par with me to have those genuine conversations, or can I share it with people in different
different levels? And I think that's such an important question right now, because you, at least for a 10-year period, you can't always have friends in your group that earn as much as you
very
earn.
true. Yeah.
Even if we start at the same level, life happens.
Yeah.
People get laid off. People get sick.
Yes.
That's the part we don't like.
Yeah.
So a lot of
people even choose sometimes to step away from the workforce,
especially women that are raising kids. So your 30s, that's when that gap becomes obvious. One person is a VP, the other person is just like, I don't even know if I have a job, or I'm doing this job and earning something for a few hours. So that gap is really wide. So that whole, I will only discuss if when I'm kind of, just so you are being careful. It's not sustainable. Because sometimes you're discussing with that group where you think you're earning the same thing, but that person just lost their job.
Exactly.
And they are now closer to zero.
Yes,
so
than before.
You see, so I just think, like, for me at least, once I've established that, okay, this person is my friend, and they have sense, and we, they are really my friend, and my bar for friendship is high already. So I feel like I can discuss, but I'm not going to deny that if I discuss my salary with you, first you must tell me.
You must represent down if to the cent. If you don't give the down to the cent.
If you don't, I'll start processing it. And two, when you do tell me and you earn more than me, I'm honest about, I'm going to try to do better.
Yes. Yeah, which
not in a negative way.
In a negative way. Which is why I wanted us to enter the next question is, what do you think is the cost or the flip side of not having those conversations?
Yeah.
Yes. So by me now, for example, not having told you how much I earn, what do you I've lost rather?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you've lost, and there's a lot of data to show this, right? When people don't know what people around them earn, they don't know what to ask for. They don't even know that they're not paying me well.
Yes. You've carried the salary on your head. You don't even know that. It's chicken change.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. And who are the best people to give you that data? Your friends. Because you can't, it's not you that you can't talk money with your friend. You want to talk about it with your colleague.
Yeah, your colleague that no.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So I feel like you're already leaving a lot of value on the table, because first, your friend doesn't, like, if your friend is earning significantly more, and you guys have the same levels of experience or quality of experience and things like that, you know that, the reason is I work in a non-profit and they work in tech. You understand, maybe after a few years here, let me move to tech and earn that much. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So all of that value is lost because you guys just can't talk about money.
Yeah.
And two, another thing is those friends don't know the kind of opportunities to help you look for.
Yes, that was the one I was going to get at. Was like, your friends are subconsciously also looking out for opportunities. Like, if they're really your friends, subconsciously also looking out for opportunities for you. And you not having those conversations.
They are just like, I don't know.
I don't know. In fact, maybe I'll even, if I propose this one, it's not up to your taste.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things I feel like we're leaving on the table when we don't have those conversations, right? There's the flip side as well. When we have those conversations, we are humans. People look at you differently.
Yeah.
Why can't Simone contribute more?
Yeah.
Why can't you get all those? I don't know. There's just the flip side as well. There's a cost and a benefit, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I also wanted to call out, and this more from personal experiences, and it's not necessarily with respect to the salary, but I want to talk about the cost of not having money conversations. Not necessarily salary conversations, but money conversations. I know that personally, I've benefited from a lot of our conversations that were salary adjacent.
Like investment.
Yeah, and even like, oh, what do you think about this? And you'll be like, oh, this, or you send me something, what do you think? I feel like having someone to just spar with on those, there are a lot of things that I would easily miss that are brought to bear.
Yeah, that's true.
I also think that the second thing is around experience. There's a lot of experiences that your friends have had money-wise that you can learn from to not replicate the mistakes.
Yeah.
So even, let's take the home buying process. It can be very murky here in the US to buy a home without paying a lot.
Yeah.
And just being able to have those conversations with your friend and with concrete numbers, not that, oh, I want to buy a house and then you're talking in hypotheticals.
What if I want to buy this?
Yeah. No.
I don't engage.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not like with concrete numbers, like breaking it down. Okay, this is how much you should negotiate. This is.
Yeah.
I find that there's so much subconscious experience that your friends have that will realize themselves in that conversation as opposed to theoretical, because the theory does not touch on the actual.
Exactly. If you want theory, go and speak with your ChatGPT or something. And like you said, even if you guys don't end up agreeing on what the right approach is, at the end of the day, it's still your money, but you've gotten a different perspective.
Yes, exactly.
Right? The first time a friend told me, oh, I speak with a lawyer before I sign any contract with any company. Before I agree to join the firm, I just send it to a lawyer. I'm like, babe, you are operating at I thought I was sophisticated, but nah, you are different.
You're different dimension.
So that's just some of those things, right? Where it was someone that told me, oh, you should speak with a lawyer about this, even on things like immigration, and you see, so you start getting perspective that you didn't have. You think you are doing well until you make people that are like, you better do better.
Yeah. And that's also the benefit of good friendship.
Yes.
Because it's I don't want to say it's not competitive, but I take it more as like iron sharpening iron. If one person levels up and has that information, it can help you level up, and you guys are kind of like sparring and growing together.
No, I totally agree.
Okay, so the next question I wanted us to talk around is back to reasons around why people don't talk about money in friendships. There's a dimension like I wanted to call out of shame. Sometimes people feel ashamed of either how much they earn or are not earning. There's a dimension of we just don't talk about money. Money is taboo. Like
it's rude to talk about money.
It's rude to talk about money. There's a dimension of enemies of progress, especially from our backgrounds or cultural backgrounds. The dimension of enemies of progress. How do you think that coming in with those preconceptions, how people should navigate those conversations?
Yes, no, I think that's the difficult part. And I know recently I was talking about this with my younger sister, where she's realizing, again, she's in her 30s now, she and her friends, she's realizing there's now a divide. There's a level of people are just not operating at certain levels, full stop.
Yes.
There are still, some people are more sophisticated than others. And you start noticing in your 30s, some of your friends or people you've been friends with since secondary school or high school, all those things, they might still be thinking at this level.
Yes.
You are already here.
Up.
So how do you keep that friendship and still be transparent? Because because they are operating here, the moment you tell them what you earn, you know that
it changes the dynamics.
Even
you might say something, but now it could now be taken in a particular
it's like I've told you I earn 100K, but this month I can't give you 20,000 naira.
And then they'll now, you bring up a huge point. You know how people now start gauging your response based off.
So how do you make it make sense to that person? Of course, the person doesn't know you pay taxes. Yes. You're a lot of taxes, and they pay.
If you didn't pay taxes, you might just want to save. You have investment,
investment, or you have a child, or your husband too, or wife needs that money, or you have a mother. The issue is you earn 100K.
Do you or don't you?
Do you or not? Don't you earn 100K?
So is it not just this small amount that I'm asking for?
How do you begin to explain to someone that you consider a friend that I earn $100,000 a year, but I can't give you 20,000 naira right now? You see, it's even hard for me.
Yes.
To begin to explain. Of course, maybe 20K is to I don't know,
I get
100,000 naira or something like that, right? How do you explain some of those things? So for me, it's more like at least I think friends are at different levels.
Yes, I agree with you.
And I once had this conversation with my mom about like how to, but she just told me point blank, you can't sustain friends at your level for 10 years. It's not possible.
Yeah.
You will start seeing those
some discrepancies and divergence.
Right? So it's the same way. I think in your group of 7 friends, of which I don't have the privilege of having 7 friends, but in your group of 7 friends, there will be 2 that are like sophisticated. They understand.
Yeah, they can handle the nuance of it.
Of your money, of your, but there will be those 2 that can't. So I feel like you should manage how you talk about money with different friends within different group. That's how maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've not figured it out, but that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like, this person can't really handle this. And so I'm not going to touch on that subject. When they ask for money, I'll just be like, maybe I don't have this month, I'll send it next month or something, but we don't need to get into it.
I think also just piggybacking off of that, like what I'm realizing from this conversation that it's not really about having honest money conversations with people who you think are at your level. That's not really important, because in reality, it's even hard for you to know
who is at what level
if you haven't had those conversations.
If I check your LinkedIn, maybe.
Okay, sure. but maybe more so having those conversations with people who have the maturity to hold that information.
Exactly.
Because you could very well also find friends who may not be earning what you're earning, but can handle the complexity of that conversation.
Exactly.
So it's not only, it doesn't only boil down to because they're earning on par, we can have that conversation. It's more like, does the person have the emotional, financial maturity?
What level are they operating?
Exactly.
What's their OS?
Yes.
Right.
And is there a need to update it? I want us to round up right now. And this is also something for our audiences. What do you think an honest money conversation or honest money group looks like from a practical standpoint? Let's say that you could, by happenstance, identify a number of friends. What do you feel like that honest money group looks like? That's one, in practice. And what would need to be present in that group for it to feel safe enough to have those money conversations?
The second question is easier for me.
Okay, go ahead.
What would need to be present in the friend group to have some money conversations? I usually will start out with things like sharing about some announcement about investment and see where people are at. Like see if this person says, oh, I've not heard about that, so I'll go try it, or I'll go read about it and see if I qualify. Or share about some announcements about taxes, like we now have a millionaire's tax in the States, so they just signed it to law. Like, what do let people engage on some of those things? I feel like it makes it safer to now say what you earn, right? Because if I'm having a tax conversation with you, I'm not stupid. I'm not I
mean, inherently, there's some assumptions.
Can I just tell you, I'm likely plus or minus 100K of what all my friends are worth, net worth. It's plus or minus 100K.
Plus or minus,
Like I've had enough money conversations that I'm just like, see this one, she thinks. She thinks I don't know. Right. So I'm just like engage on other money adjacent things or salary adjacent things and see how the group is doing before you just go and tell them this is what I'm
doing. Don't just broadcasting, guys. Don't just go and say, early Monday, I'm happy to announce
that I'm earning this much, right? I also try to have this belief that what we are earning now is nothing compared to 20 years time. We're like, what was that that we could not even discuss?
Chicken change. That we could not even mention as at the time. Chicken change.
So that's kind of, I'm like, test your friends with other topics that are related to money, see if there's interest, see if people want to talk about those things. And it helps you when you guys have to now share about money.
Okay. I think we can end there. I think for me, the thing I want us to close off with is, do you have anything for our users, or not users, sorry, our listeners?
Simone is building tech products.
Our listeners.
Monthly active users. Okay, good.
Our listeners to implement this week. I think for me, I would be curious to know from our listeners if you guys are able to have that money conversation with a friend. It doesn't have to be many friends. It could be one, but just having an open conversation, and let us know how that went. If you left feeling like, oh, this was a little bit shaky, and let's also acknowledge that the first time might be uncomfortable.
Very, like I felt when I was on the bus.
Exactly. The first time might be uncomfortable, but I'm curious, do you have anything that you think the listeners might go into the week with?
Yeah, I think this week try to learn something about money that you don't know at all yet, and share it with a friend.
That's a good one.
You need to start just something random you learned on Google or whatever in your day-to-day, and put it on your WhatsApp group and see how your friends react, or your maybe send to one friend. I think that's the start of something beautiful, because like, what's wealth when other people around you aren't that wealthy? For me, it feels lonely. So I want my friends to be as richer than me.
Exactly.
So that I can borrow from them.
And we'll end there
on that note.
Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.